Earlier, we visited Ryan in his beautiful tiny house on wheels. As a craftsman though, what happens when you also want to be able to take your work with you as you travel? Today we're catching up with Ryan to visit his mobile tiny house building workshop, which enables him to travel the United States, building, well, tiny homes. Hey Ryan!
Hey Bryce, welcome.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming by.
This here is such a cool idea, a mobile tiny house building workshop.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun creating this thing, and we've got all the power on, so we're at work.
You've got a project underway right here already?
Yeah, so this is a 28-footer we're doing for a client, and this is their property. So eventually it'll be parked up on the hill.
How did you come up with the idea of actually building a tiny house as a workshop studio?
It's kind of been coming with the territory of living in a tiny house. I don't really know where I'll end up. So with being able to move your equipment along with you, it's just kind of a no-brainer for my situation. And it's been a dream for a few years, and now it's actual reality. So I'm pretty stoked.
And the tiny house workshop here is also a bit special because it's entirely solar powered, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, we have a few panels that keep the batteries topped off and charged. And I've got enough battery storage to run tools all day. But in the wintertime, we do have a biodiesel backup generator to keep the batteries topped off. So we keep things sustainable in some manner, you know, with our backup energy supply, but most of it's solar.
And what about the workshop itself? How big is it actually?
It's an 8x12, and it's got, you know, a clearance from the floor to the top highest point is about 11 feet. So we can go back roads. We got plenty of clearance for those kind of off-the-grid projects.
And I have to say, it's really beautifully constructed as well. These cedar shingles here are just lovely.
Yeah, they have a nice look, don't they?
They really do. But it's also offset with this really kind of rustic, cool corrugate metal thing going on as well.
Yes, I've collected a lot of materials throughout the last few builds that I've done, and I've been fortunate enough to have a good pile and enough to do this little workshop. So it's been pretty much 100% reclaimed materials.
Can we take a look inside, see what's going on in there?
Let's check it out.
All right. So you've got the big doors opening up the whole workshop here to give you easy access to everything.
Exactly. Yeah, and we have this ramp here so we can roll out the heavy equipment, the machinery. So I have the joiner, the bandsaw, the planer, and the table saw, so everything's mobile. So when we hit the road, all that stuff goes up the ramp, and we kind of just stack that whole center right there with the machines. And then once we get to the location where we're going to build, we just roll out.
Oh yeah, this is a great workspace, eh? I think for a lot of people, the idea of living in a tiny home could feel very limiting because it doesn't necessarily afford them the ability to have tools and toys and workshop space and hobbies and all of that sort of thing easily.
Exactly.
But actually building a space like this, a mobile shed that you can just take with you anywhere you go, is such a cool idea.
It's been a dream of mine for a few years, and it's finally, you know, here, and I'm able to store all the equipment I need and house all of my tools, because I've got a lot of tools, and it's got my power, so it's all in one, you know. And I've got my house that I can pull this up to eventually and actually convert this into an art studio if it need be. You know, I kind of built it to be able to be universal and sort of transform. So it just requires some tools to be moved out, but it's definitely doable.
That's great future-proofing as well. So later on, one day you could also just be using this as an awesome adventure camper.
Exactly. I'm a happy man. It's been a dream, and I'm so happy that it's finally done, and I'm able to use it and just do my craft on the road and see where it leads me.
So what have we got in here?
I've got a benchtop grinder for some quick sharpening. Shelving here so you can throw the radio on, you can put some things together. It's a little assembly table pretty much. You got clamps, pretty much everything you need to build a tiny home, and it's all kind of in this space, aside from the big equipment outside, but most of it fits.
That wood stove looks incredible as well. What's the story behind this thing?
A friend of mine, Tyrone, built this stove, and it's actually got a oven on the top.
Oh, cool.
So I was cooking some sweet potatoes the other day in there, and you can cook on the top of that one. And here's the firebox.
This drill over here looks like it comes with a story.
Yeah, so that's my grandpa's old Delta, and it runs off of the solar equipment, so it's pretty exciting. It was a light bulb moment when I flipped the switch and it actually worked.
Do you have any trouble running that sort of stuff off of the solar though?
No, I've actually got a transformer over here that I can flip up the wattage or the voltage to 220. So I could actually run a 3 horsepower 8-inch joiner off of the solar equipment.
So tell me a little bit more about the sharpening table you've got here, because this is a little bit of an unusual feature. You wouldn't see something like this in a normal shed, would you?
Yeah, so that's the sharpening bay. I've got a sink that kind of collects the water for sharpening my chisels or my plane blades. There's not a lot of people around here that would be sharpening their tools on site. I mean, we do have the grinder for some quick sharpening, but if it's at the finish phase and you're doing some tight corners or some joinery work, the sharp tools really count. So I use this to just, you know, do a quick tune-up.
In a lot of your building work, you're heavily influenced by Japanese design and Japanese craftsmanship, aren't you? And this kind of harks back to that tradition, doesn't it?
Very much, yeah. In Japan, they sharpen quite frequently on the job site. I like a lot of Japanese joinery techniques, so I try to influence that on some of my tiny houses that I do.
I think with so much building today, it's just become mass manufactured, but within the tiny house movement, so many craftsmen like yourself have found this niche for an ability to actually reintroduce true handcrafted homes to the world. And with so many of these tiny homes, you're given a level of freedom and ability to express a level of craftsmanship that you would not be able to do on an ordinary job site.
Yeah, the tiny house rocks because you can do pretty much anything you want. The sky's the limit, you know. You do any kind of design as long as you fit in the requirements with the DMV and being on the road and heights and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of fun.
I've already been so impressed with the work that I've seen from you so far. I cannot wait to see the new designs that come out of this awesome mobile workshop.
Thanks a lot, Bryce.
Thank you so much for sharing this with me.
Of course, it's been fun.
In today's world, there's so many of us that are forced into doing jobs that we really don't enjoy. And it's always a complete breath of fresh air to meet somebody like Ryan who's so passionate about his craft. And, well, he's building tiny houses, so really, who can blame him? Still though, the construction of this workshop is something that truly goes above and beyond. I think it shows a passion and a dedication to the craft that is truly brilliant. And I am so excited to see the work that he will build out of here.